Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Australian Vintage Computer Collector Zoom Catch-Up for January 2022. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that this is being recorded so others can view later. I'd like to welcome the newcomers to this chat first and ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll go around and just see what everyone's been up to. So welcome, Craig and Johan. So Craig, would you mind just telling us what brings you to retro computing?
Well, I got started with, when I started with retro computing, it wasn't retro computing, it was just computing. My first computer was the first computer I used was a TRS-80 Model 1 back in 1978 when they first arrived in Australia. The first computer I owned was a 2650 built from the Electronics Australia 78 UP5 board that came out in May 1978. I then went on to an S100 system based on the DG680, for those of you who remember the old ETI and Applied Technology, whom I then went and worked for Microbee during the Microbee years, and then worked for a variety of companies. Went from Microbee with a lot of the senior Microbee staff, Matthew Starr and Demaris Yates, Gerard Hill. We all went to a company called Integrated Arts, where we did work on the transputer for 4 or 5 years. And since then, I've been kicking around the industry doing various things all over the world. I have a variety of vintage computers within arm's reach here, which I'd be happy to do a quick video show if anyone's interested. But I'm mainly on the Z80 side because of my heritage. But I have Microbees, I have some K-Pros. A friend of mine in the States has just forwarded me a stack of K-Pros, which I'm in the process of refurbishing to pass on to those who are interested. I also have a System 80, an Exidi Sorcerer, 3 TRS-80 Model 1s, a TRS-80 Model 4, and a TRS-80 Model 3, and various Macs, and a crap load of IBM PC 5150s and 5160s that came from the same friend in the States, who I'm in again, which I'll be getting onto once I finish the K-Pros. So that's, as you can see, I'm also a fan of the Robert Tinney prints. You can see on the background from the Byte magazines on the background there. They're copies of original signed prints from Robert Tinney. I have a few of them on the wall there.
Oh, wow.
Which I've collected from eBay over the years. And I've got more on the other wall over here that you can't see. I've also got a collection of all of the Byte magazines from issue 1 through to the mid-1980s when they stopped being relevant because they started doing silly things. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, very good. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Johan, tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Johan. So I live down in Tassie, and I'm relatively new to collecting computers. I grew up, we had a C64 when I was a kid, and moved on to a 128, and then we went to a 386 after that. But I didn't really have much to do with computers. I've always been interested in technology and things, and camera gear as well. But it was just maybe 2 years ago, maybe around the start of COVID, I got hold of a PowerBook Duo, and I just was tinkering around with it, and it just brought back all that nostalgia, you know, how these things do. And then I started looking around and thinking, oh, what else is out there? And just, well, within a couple of years, I've got a garage full of stuff. And it's for me, I've been enjoying the challenge of trying to get stuff within Tasmania, especially things like CRT screens and stuff. You don't want to be shipping them, you know, from the mainland. So it's been a challenge of just finding stuff that's local. So I've got a lot of Apple stuff. I mean, you like what you like, and I quite like just the Apple stuff from a range of different eras. But I grab hold really of whatever I can find, and just stuff that I'm interested in. So it's pretty eclectic, but that's sort of just what I go for. So I've got some old PC stuff, and I got Atari recently, and Commodore PC5, Amiga 2000. Again, just stuff that pops up locally, and I can grab or drive to and get within the state. And what I've also done is, once I started getting a fair sort of a sized collection, I thought I was just sitting down here in the basement. So I decided to start a YouTube channel, and so I've been doing that now for a year, just showcasing different stuff, usually fixing something, not always successfully, but that's part of the journey. But I'm very much a newbie, as it were, and I'm untrained in all electronics and things, so I just have a go and just try my best, and Google's there. So I'm also interested. I collect a lot of retro hi-fi gear, so that's sort of another big passion of mine. Mainly sort of 70s era silver faceplate stuff. I love all that stuff, and old speakers. Unfortunately, they take up a lot of space, so
Yeah,
just
they
try and navigate that somehow. Which is why I tend to lean more towards laptops and more space efficient computers in my collection as well. I've got a single garage, which I'm stuck right at the back. You can see this here, but there's like motorbikes and stuff right in front of me that you can't see. There's just no room anymore. But yeah, so that's me. And I can't remember. I don't remember when I joined this group, but obviously sometime in the last year, because this is my first Zoom. So
very good. So when you collect your computers from the local area, is that like through like Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree or?
Yeah, so Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree, but also, I mean, word of mouth is sort of a big thing once you start getting it out there. Tassie's pretty small. I have actually, there was like a guy selling on eBay, and I reached out to him, and I saw he was in the state, and I was like, oh, I'm in the state too. Can I come have a look? And so when I went around there, I was like, oh, have you got anything else? You do. Yeah, so just basically that's the avenue I go through.
Cool. It used to be so much easier. Like I can't comment for the rest of you guys. Clearly Craig's been collecting since 1978, I think you said.
I wish.
But I probably started collecting in earnest in around 1997, and I bought my first computer from Ian Maverick, who's just down there. And just like you, single garage, bought a VIC-20 on eBay, and the rest is history. And I ended up just going crazy and filling the garage, and now I'm sort of reversing the journey. But 20 years ago, it was so much easier to find all those things, and now those things are becoming more
even 10 years ago it was easier.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of what I've got here because I didn't manage to keep it. 3 children, living in 3 different and moving to 3 different continents and multiple different jobs. All of the original stuff I had got left behind or got whatever. But about 10 or 15 years ago, I had the inclination and the means to actually start getting bits. And you could get a Micro B for $150 or $200, or you could get a System 80, which is the one I got. You could get it for like $150. And they weren't stupid prices. Now, anything less than $1,000 is probably a bargain.
Yeah, and for me, that's part of the challenge, is trying to find those bargains. Because if you have deep pockets, you can just whatever, you just get whatever from wherever. Yeah. But for me, part of the joy is actually trying to find those hidden treasures somewhere. And also it's, justifying to the wife, you can't be just throwing cash around for the junk that's in the garage. But what I've found is quite a good avenue as well. I've been volunteering at a charity shop, and I've been doing that for a few years. And for hi-fi gear, that's actually a really good source. But also that's where I got the PowerBook Duo from, and I've got another PowerBook 170 from there as well. So yeah, that's quite a resourceful way to get hold of some gear.
Absolutely. And that used to be a great avenue. I can remember going to, say, I think it used to be the Salvation Army store used to be excellent until they started binning anything with a power cable. Yep. And that was probably the end. And that would have been, I don't know if they still do it now, but 15 years ago.
They just won't take anything with a power cable these days.
Yeah, they would just throw it in the bin.
The issue is test and tag.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got my test and tag license. So that's actually what I do at the charity shop.
Right.
And so they're able to keep accepting all of those electrical donations, and probably more so now because a lot of the other ones aren't accepting them. So it's all funneling through this massive warehouse, and yeah, there's some good stuff that comes through. A lot of crap, but
Oh, very good. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, Johan. All right, so now we'll go around. Now, Pat's here, which is awesome because Pat was the guy who shared the link that I'm about to share on the screen. Yes, Pat. Let me just turn this on. So here we are here. Here is an eBay auction, which caught me a little bit by surprise. So this is a non-working Commodore 65. Now, I'm just going to show you the inside. So that chip there that's missing in the socket, Bill, that will not be available from your local electronics store. But what's also missing, an EEPROM, which you can see highlighted in the center of that window. That is easy. They could easily duplicate that. But yeah, that build chip there, yeah, that ain't coming anytime soon. But I thought that was an interesting auction. It's also missing the number 6, which is very strange. The eject mechanism does not work, which is great. What is really sad is it's an estate sale, and it would have been very interesting to know where it came from. But if you guys are looking for a non-working Commodore 64 at an unreasonable price, this is the one for you. Thank you, Pat, for sharing. I'm watching this with great interest. I highly recommend watching that, and I hope someone gets it. But that price,
I'll wait till
10
they
Mega 65.
charity and pick one up then.
sorry, what was that?
I'll wait till they donate it to the charity and grab hold of it then.
Well,
The
that's
ridiculous thing is, it's probably an estate sale. He probably got it for nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just looked up the price and went, ooh, ooh.
the only thing,
10.
Craig, is if you have a look at his auctions,
There's a lot of good stuff there. There's a
There's a-
Lisa up for grabs, and
but his prices are pretty scary. Like
Yeah.
he's got a grid compass there for 20, but I think 2 or 3 grid compasses. He wants $20,000 each. So this guy, and he doesn't do auctions. They're all buy it now. So you've got to be.
Yeah, he sounds like one of those guys that goes through, looks up the item on eBay, picks the highest price and lists it for that. Yeah, he probably has no idea what he's selling.
The plus side is he probably doesn't have to deal with shipping too often because he wouldn't sell anything.
That's true.
He only has to ship 2 or 3 times a year.
That's right.
And,
And then he's made his annual deal.
and
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with looking up old eBay auctions to see what things are worth. I spent
Sure,
a good chunk of my day doing
Oh,
that.
absolutely. But the difference is, man, you know what you're looking at, all right? And you price things reasonably, whereas he's obviously not. So
He's just having a go.
Depends who you talk to if I price things reasonably. I think they're reasonable,
I think so.
but I also have to pay the bills here. So
Actually, I'll just share that one more time. I just want to show you what I was talking about. So you can now see this guy. Let's click on seller's other items. Let's have a quick look at some of the other amazing things he's got to offer. I'm just going to do a search. Hang
well,
on.
he wants
Oh, there you go.
4,000.
So there you go. Grid compass, 1,100, 20 grand.
Well, you know it's expensive because it's got very rare in the
Oh,
title.
you're absolutely right.
Hey, there's
But,
there's an Atom up for grabs for $312.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't want to get the 4th atom because that's the next item on my list to talk about. So I don't even know where to start. So once upon a time, I had a Kliego atom. Decided I didn't want it. Got rid of it. Decided I want to get a Kliego atom again, and bought one. Doesn't work. Bought another one. Doesn't work. Bought another one. Doesn't work. So
why get rid of the working one to replace it with 3 broken ones?
so I'm pretty sure that I can get one of the one thing cool is so I got Dave to pick up this Kliego atom. It was in Geelong somewhere.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Grovedale.
And it was in a storage unit, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep.
And
There's a hell of a lot of stuff there, apparently.
what is interesting about this atom is it's a PAL atom with a language card in it. And when I showed it to the Americans, they're just like, wow, this is rare. I don't think it's actually rare. I think it's rare to see this type of atom in America. I think it's got a language card, so it might change the hash sign into a pound key or, something like that. It wouldn't be doing anything amazing. But yeah, I'm sure I could probably get it working, but I was disappointed. I wanted to just plug it in and go, but now I've got 2 projects, one that's never going to work and 2 that I've got projects to work. The other thing that I got in the last month was a ZXpand Plus module for the ZX81. I was moaning to David about it the other day, but I've got it working. I played 3D Monster Maids with great success.
Well, that means you've got 32K of RAM then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's for those who don't know what it is, it's a moderately priced accessory for a ZX81 that plugs in the back, gives you SD card storage, a music synthesizer, and a RAM upgrade. And what's cool is you don't have to deal with tapes. You can load up, just download, stick the software in the SD card, and you can play games with revolting graphics like it was 1981. So
hey, we all love that, right?
Yeah, that's what we're here for. And it's pretty cool. I've got to say, like, I've never rated the ZX81, and I've had them in the past, and I reacquired one recently, and I thought I'll give it a go. And when I saw there was a digital solution where we can just download software and easily load it up, this will be a bit of fun. And it actually is a lot of fun. So it's made me more interested, and I'm looking forward to trying some new games on the ZX81. So that's pretty cool.
All you need is a decent keyboard now, mate.
I'm pretty lucky because that membrane, while the membrane's awful, this particular membrane works really well. So you're not going to be touch typing on it anytime soon. But I mean, it's okay considering it's not a standard configuration. Your hands are sort of like this as you type. But no, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I recommend it if you've got a ZX. Worth a look.
Yeah, absolutely. I would too. I've got one. So.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Is yours the ZXpand Plus as well with the AY? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's got the AY and it's got the 9-pin connector hanging off the back of it and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, cool. I also bought, and you said I haven't got it. I also bought the ZXpand Super Serial Card, which is the Wi-Fi module. You're thinking, what? Yes. So my ZX81 can do 80 columns and can dial into bulletin boards and telnet into stuff. The only trouble is I need to do the RF conversion. I've got the conversion module. I haven't installed it in because you cannot read 80 column on my TV. So I'll plug it into like a monochrome monitor and because I've got the modulator to RF upgrade. Well, is it an upgrade? I think it's an upgrade.
Yeah, it is.
But I just haven't installed it yet. But I didn't realize I needed it until I got into the terminal mode. I'm like, well, I can just make out what I'm typing.
I did a really cheap DIY composite upgrade on one of mine, where it was just it was a 100 ohm resistor and a BC 547 or something like that transistor. And it was literally one leg of the transistor goes to the audio, the video in, the other leg goes to the output, and then the other leg goes to the resistor and ground, and there you go. There's your like a $1 worth of parts, if that.
Yeah, I paid the $12. There's a drop-in module. You just desolder the RF and just drop in this module, in place, and it's a neat looking plug-in thing. Yep. I think it was 12. It might have been £12, and I bought it from Sell My Retro.
Was that from RWrap or someone like that? RWrap software or something like that?
Don't know, something. But it looks like good gear, but I haven't used it yet. Other than that, I've been building this enormous Saturn V rocket, which I'm going to launch. It's literally about this whole. I could bring it out later on while you guys are talking, but
is this a like a
Estes model rocket that you launch? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I just finished a Lego Saturn V, so.
Oh no, this is.
I've got the Lego Saturn V in a case over there somewhere next to the Millennium Falcon and underneath the Star Destroyer.
I did get the Ghostbusters car for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
That was pretty neat. But once again, we're off topic. So I'm going to now hand over to Dave, and you can tell me what you've been doing for the last month.
It's actually been a busy month for me, actually. A friend and I decided to do a Sydney run because a mutual friend of ours had picked up some gear for us and had been looking after it for a few months, and it was case numbers were starting to climb a little bit. And we thought, let's go between Christmas and New Year's. So we left, I think it was the Wednesday before New Year's, and left at 5 in the morning and got back at 4 the next morning. Sydney in a few hours up and back again. And
is that when Omicron started in Victoria?
Pretty much, yeah. So no, it was already on the way. We just thought we've got to get this stuff pretty quick, smart. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just gonna, he's doing a solid, and some of it was big gear. So let's put it this way.
What was that gear in the back seat? There was a shot at some point.
Yeah, that was me sending the shot up there. Yeah.
What was that? What was in that back seat?
In the back, so what we brought back, I brought back a 4040 dual disc drive, and I think it's a 4028 IEEE printer. There was also an A2500.
Okay.
There was a Silver Label 64. Oh, there was something else as well. What was it? I can't remember now, but that was sort of the crux of it. It was that everyone's going, oh, that looks like an Amiga 2000. No, it's not a 2000, it's 2500. So, but there was a few other odds and sods as well. So, but basically a full back seat full of gear and stuff that you wouldn't want to ship because it'd never make it in either in one piece, or you'd be paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to actually get it in some form of disassembly, if you know what I'm saying.
Can I ask something pretty disrespectful?
Yep.
The Amiga 2500.
Yes.
That is just a glorified Amiga 2000 with a couple of cards in it and a label change, isn't it?
It's a label change and a 68020 accelerator card in there, and that's about it.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the case.
Yeah, so that's about it. But they are pretty. It's like you could get the Amiga 1500 as well, and not the Checkmate one. There was a Commodore Amiga 1500, and that was basically the original Amiga 2000, but with 2 floppy drives in it, no hard drive. So it was there was a few of these weird models out there. So we did that and took a day or two to recover from that, because I'm not as young as I used to be, and staying awake for 23 hours whilst you're trying to drive, even though you're spelling each other at the wheel, is not as fun as it used to be, if you know what I mean. But I got the printer up and running. That just needed the biggest clean you've ever seen. The floppy drive is almost working. It just needs a bit more of a lubrication, but the logic side's working great. What else have I done? Got some more Spectrum stuff to play with. I got a Mac 512 as well, which I got pretty much up and running. I mean, it was running before, but
what's a Mac 512?
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, Mac 512.
512.
I was thinking some sort of accelerator.
No,
the Mac 512.
The Mac 512.
A Macintosh 512K. Right. Yeah. Oh, I don't know where you got that from.
No, I don't know where I got that from either. But yeah.
Did that one work?
Yeah. So it. First thing I did was pull the reefer out of it, because was the
reefer still in it?
Yeah, the reefer was still in it, but that's okay. And it's it hadn't been upgraded, so it had the 400K single-sided drive in it too, so that's okay. And had a look at all the caps; they looked okay. Fired it up, working fine. And then about an hour later, I smelt a nice sort of fishy smell, and the screen just started expanding. So I'm guessing there was just a dodgy one on the analog board. I haven't got around to playing around with it yet, but it didn't go pop. It just started expanding. I thought, yep, we've got an issue. Turn it off. We'll deal with that later. I've just finished building a Gigatron and a ZX80/81 clone as well.
Which was the ZX80/81 clone you built? Minstrel?
Yes. No, actually, this one is, I've actually got a spare kit, but it's actually this one here. It was done by hang on a tick, showing my age now. So it was actually done about 4 years ago. I've got a website which I can put up. The Gerbers are freely available. You can just do it, and it's actually switchable between ZX80 and ZX81. And it's actually done in a ZX80 style, so there's no ULA, it's all discrete logic. Everything is basically discrete logic except for you've got 32K of RAM, your Z80 and ROM. That's it. So and they've also got rid of the can, and it's got composite out by
That's
default
heavy.
with the back porch actually incorporated as well. So and I think like there was less than $100 worth of parts on there. So I've finished that. I haven't got around to powering it up yet, but so
does it come with a keyboard, or do you just have to get a screwdriver and touch the contacts?
Well, this you get, you know, those
oh, the rubberized thing.
No, the yeah, like you see in those Atari joysticks, you know, the original the little metal dome things go on there. Yeah, but that's what the ZX80 had. So this is designed as a ZX80. It'll actually sit in a ZX80 case. So, but that ZX81 keyboard, that external keyboard I've got, will actually work on this anyway. So I'm probably just going to leave it as is.
Cool.
So did that, got a Gigatron that I've finished, and apart from that, there's everything else that's just coming in from eBay because everyone's been selling some nice stuff over the last couple of weeks. And
have they? What have they been selling?
Well, there was a 2031 LP that I managed to get out of Canada for a pretty reasonable price.
I thought you meant domestically. No.
Oh, no. The stuff that I'm looking for now, you don't get it domestically. It just, no one's got that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no one's got it. No one's got it.
No.
No one's got a 2031 LP.
No. No. But I actually did pick up, there was a huge lot of chips. Like a massive amount of Commodore chips.
Really?
Yeah.
On eBay?
On eBay.
Was that guy who was selling box of random chips?
No, this one was, hang on, I'm just pulling up the description now. Let's see.
So you got it all, did you, Dave?
Yeah, no one bid on it apart from me, which was nice.
It was like up like about $1,000, wasn't it?
It was about $1,000.
Yeah, I knew it would be worthwhile for a Commodore person to be getting. It was kind of,
well,
it looked mainly like Amiga chips to me, which is.
Well, there was a couple in there that sort of tweaked my fancy because there was which one was it? 325303, which are the original high ROM for the VIC 1540, and those things are like hen's teeth because all the VIC 1540s were often upgraded to the 1541 spec.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of those in there, and when you see them come up by themselves, they're going for over $100. I thought, well, I've got a couple of 1540s that'll be useful, and I think there was some DMA controllers for the REUs as well.
Hey Dave, can I ask you, being the resident, Vic expert, with what's the? Well, no, this is probably a question that maybe some others can also chip in on, but the 1540 versus the 1541 for a Vic, is there a? I mean, for collector reasons, I think the 1540 is interesting, but I don't really actually know what the differences are between the drives.
Okay, so
if I was going to pick one, is probably my question to you.
Well, if you're wanting to have a drive to work with Commodore 8 bits, 8-bit machines,
and the 41's probably
1541 with the toaster type, the Alps mechanism.
Right.
Don't go for the twist because they just, unless it's a 1541 Mark II, because they just the heads just corrode on those.
Okay.
But 1540 versus 1541, the mechanism and the power supply and all that's exactly the same. The difference is there's no PLA in the 1540. It's all discrete logic, which is a plus and a minus. But also in the 1540, the DOS ROM is slightly different. It actually runs a little bit faster than what the Commodore 64 could handle. So a 1540 on a VIC-20 will run a little bit faster than a 1541. on a VIC-20 unless you poke something, and then apparently you can sort of switch it if you wanted to, but no one ever bothered. So, and when you look at the logic board on the 1540 is the full length of the drive. It is massive, and then the 1541's about 2/3 the size, because they put the PLA on there instead of all the discrete logic. So that's about it. So it's just the VIC-20 nerds that really love the 1540.
Yes. No, thanks. I was curious on that because I was browsing a little bit a few weeks ago. So.
Yep. Yeah, they do pop up from time to time. So there was actually someone out here a few months ago that had 2 of them. I was actually lucky enough to get a spare one, so I was really happy with that. So
you got 2 1540s.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Well, yeah, but one of them only has the 1541 chip in there. So when this lot came up, I thought, yep, there we go. I'll never find another one of those ROM chips when I want one, and all this other stuff come with it. I'll sell a lot of it on, and yeah, keep what I need.
Cool.
So,
great, Dave. Anything else?
No, not really. Nothing else really. Just lots of stuff coming in.
Great.
So,
great.
like a VC 1541.
Don't see them very often.
No, well, this one's out of Germany.
That
so,
German one.
Yeah. So, and being a VIC-20 nerd, I thought I think I have to have one of those.
I presume you've got a VC-20 to go with it.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them now. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the minimum number that anyone should have.
Well, that's of the VCs. I've got plenty of VICs as well. So
for the record, I have 0 VCs, so that's why.
Yeah.
It's either 3 or 0.
Yeah.
Just to check up, last time I think we talked, you had 16 different kinds of VICs. Has that increased at all?
No, there's still one in transit though from Germany. So
that's number 17, is it?
That'll be number 17.
Cool.
So, and I think that'll just about do it actually. So, famous last words.
I was going to say that famous last words.
All right, Rob, tell us what you've been doing.
All right, so I had a couple of things come in. Basically, the Catchup card arrived for the 7800.
Oh, great!
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so I did a stream with some 7800 games. I'm looking forward to getting the Hokey, which is the guy who designed his own Pokey replacement. So at the moment, I can't play Commando and Ball Blazer because they are the only commercial games, and there's a whole bunch of homebrews that use the Pokey because the 7800 could route data from the thing. That's how they got around the fact that the stock console audio was trash because it's just 2600 audio. But yeah, I did an Atari Age order that came through yesterday, and I got 3 7800 ports, Frenzy and Berserk, so it's a 2-for-1. I haven't had a chance to play these yet. Scramble, and the one that's the most interesting, Baby Pac-Man, which is so they're all homebrew ports of arcade games. Baby Pac-Man's interesting because it's a game that's part video game, part pinball table.
Ooh.
So what happens is, like, you've got a display on the top, which is like Pac-Man in a maze. Then you open some stuff down and you go down to a pinball table. So you've got to switch from, using a normal joystick to actually whacking the pinball around to get extra stuff like energizers and whatnot. So the fact that they've recreated that is really interesting. And I also got a little side upgrade, which is called a Seagull 78. And it's a joystick adapter for the 7800 that lets you plug a Mega Drive pad in.
Oh, right.
The 7800 Euro pads are basically trash. And the ones I got with the console, they're not in good. One's failure direction I got to look at, but I'm not really a fan of the pad. So I got to look at fixing that. And the other ones, they're really mushy. So they'll let me use a Mega Drive pad, like the great repro ones done by Retrobit, who licensed stuff from Sega. So they feel amazing. Most of the other stuff I've been doing has been with the Next. So this also arrived yesterday and is a
sweet.
So it's basically the book itself is open source, so you could get the PDF, but it's basically like all the assembler stuff. So Z80 reference, but also a reference for the extra instructions the Next has. So you can get it as a free download as a PDF, or they've got it print on demand on Lulu, which is what that is. So it was like, what is it, like 20 something bucks plus postage, so it wasn't that expensive.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's just the order link there. And it's open source and stuff, so for changes. And so sort of carrying on from that, what I've been doing is with the Next, I've been continuing doing that assembler stuff. And so I've just switched over. This is actually on the Next. I was doing it on the emulator, but today I copied everything over. So this is Odin, which is sort of the development suite. And so these tutorials, after like a few epic ones, I've been writing so Z80, and this is a little light cycles game that was sort of part of the tutorial. So I'm just letting it assemble now, run, and this is going to be awkward, just the way I've got things set up. So it's a little, this is all using the Lair 2, which is the high color stuff. And so we do the start. And so obviously I'm the green one and crash. So this is like, it's been really cool writing Z80. So far with the tutorials, they were initially, the initial steps were to do this using the ULA, the legacy Spectrum modes. And then it's like redo the API so it kept the same API, but drawing this on the 256 color video mode. So it brought color and stuff in. So it's been really cool just getting this up and running. So, I mean, it's almost at the stage where I could futz around and write my own little game on the Next, which is sort of the plan. There's a few more, it's like 4 or 5 parts left to do. And then I'm basically, so let's go edit. Yeah, so we'll just browse through some of the assembler source of the main script. So we at the moment it's running at the full 28 megahertz, which is kind of weird. But hey, and then there's just a bunch of stuff setting up sprites. I think we're going to bring sprites back in. At the moment, there were just some placeholder stuff. Yeah, so, doing stuff starting lives. It's really been cool writing Z80 because, again, I wrote stuff on the 64 when I was much younger. I will dig that link up. But it's been really fun just messing around with that. And like I said, a personal sort of goal for me this year is sort of to get to the point where I have a small game written on the Next. So that's sort of like one of my goals for the year. Because I haven't been doing much development outside my day job for a while. And I just threw in the link to the very terrible game I wrote on the C64 in the late 90s, which sadly I lost the source to in a drive crash. Like, it was cross-developed. I cross-developed it on my PC at the time. So it's a little terrible 2-player game. And I want to write something better than that, obviously, in assembler for a vintage machine. So that's sort of, that's really what the holidays have been. I've just been a bit drained from just, we did some fairly intense stuff to round out the year at the day job. And I've been sort of finishing my break on videos. I'm starting to bring stuff in. But that's really sort of what the things have been. I'm hoping to try and squeeze some more time to do some of the last few lesson parts. But now I'm back off my video break. It's sort of going to be a bit hard to squeeze that in between fortnights. So yeah, pretty exciting times, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Can't wait for my Next to come along.
Yeah, I genuinely love the thing. It's basically, I would say it's basically my day-to-day Spectrum. And then I pull the toasty out for when I actually want to do videos to capture off the original hardware. It's just so much nicer. The keyboard is amazing. It's just so convenient just having everything on an SD card and not needing to fiddle about with some of the stuff like a Div MMC has, especially if you're trying to run 128K stuff. Or for me, being a sucker to load it off the SVI CAS, loading the tape images. And there's something else that was really cool that I just discovered and had a chance to fiddle about with. But I saw through a few leaks there, I found this chap in Japan has been writing like a bunch of little really cool sort of early arcade stuff. And it's like on a whole bunch of machines. It's like, but not just sort of the usual Japanese micro. So your MSXs, your X1s, PC-88s and all of that. He's got stuff. These games are on the Apple II, the 64, the VIC-20, but apparently they're not set for flexible screen positioning. So the screen might be cut off because he's written them for a VIC-1001. So I'm going to link the best way to get to him, because his homepage is not very good. There's a thread on Atari Age that links all these games. And it's just like, here's the games page, download. You go to that and you just see all the screens, all the video. Because he's also got a YouTube channel where he shows them all in action. And they're sort of like homebrew stuff that's like 1983 standard. But there's some fun little games on there. I'm probably going to sit down and maybe do a video on some of them, because I think it was really cool to just see, like, you got, you know, this really high end stuff. See, for example, like Sonic on the C64 that came out over the holidays. And then you've got stuff that sort of apes classic arcade games, but this is sort of like directly apes them. But this is sort of like inspired by them, but doing its own thing, but doing their own thing in a really neat way. So I had a play of a couple of them this evening while I had the next up when I was just before I was testing all the assembler stuff. But yeah, that's sort of really been me just messing about.
That's awesome. That because I have a lot of, I think Rob, you know, I've got a lot of Japanese machines and like odd ones, and so
like there's like those NECs, the PC88, the PC 6001. I think the Peach is on there.
Yeah. Well, they even have the predecessor to the Peach, which is called the Basic Master, which I have very little software for. But even like, you know, for example, they got this Panasonic JR100, JR200, like just. It's just pretty cool to be able to get software for some of those things.
Yeah.
Casio PV2000.
Like, yeah, some of those machines I've heard in passing. I'd love to know how. I presume there's sort of a common framework he's got to do that. Like I saw some for the SC3000. I'm going to work out how to get them on my setup. Yeah, so there's some stupidly amazing stuff in there, and I presume he's got like a cross development setup that could spit it all out. I definitely want to try some of these on like the 64, the Apple, the VIC, the MSX, and whatnot. I haven't got as many of the really rare ones, but there's some amazing fun little games there. You know, I'd pay. I wish you could throw the guy a tenner for them all, because it's just like, hey, you're doing some cool work.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Rob?
No, that's pretty much me, really.
Cool. Well, you're up, Mav. I
am cool. So since we were last on this Zoom, I got contacted by at a fun expedition. I got contacted by James Plummer, you know, wheelchair guy. He wouldn't mind me calling him that because he is a wheelchair guy. And so he had a storage unit that he was renting, and he said, "Man, I got to get rid of my storage unit, so you know, come down here, throw some cash at me, and get all this stuff out of here."
Oh no!
And
there's a lot of stuff there, I'm guessing.
Well, none of it really what we want, but I mean, I got like 15 or 17 CRT monitors. Probably 8 of them had to go straight to e-waste. They were in that bad a condition, and lot of MMXs, Pentium 2s and 3s sort of machines, Dells and things like that. So I kind of felt like I got a feel for what those shows, you know, that come out of the US, the Storage Locker.
Storage Wars.
We don't have, they don't do that here with Storage Wars. But I watch the shows and think, shit, I could do that. I reckon that's a cool way of eking out a living. And they don't auction the storage units here in Australia. So it would. So this was the closest I got to it. So I've got a big ass SUV now, but it still took 2 trips to get it all home. So. So there's a lot of stuff there, and it was so dusty and disgusting and gross, and I really earned my money that day.
So you didn't get anything other than clone PCs from James?
Yeah, just Dells, Compacts, Samsung, Samtron monitors, tubs of yellowed keyboards and things. It was really kind of nothing real special. I mean, well, I haven't been through them all yet, but the first generic machine, which looked reasonable, I sort of took the top off, and it had a 486 motherboard with a DX4100 overdrive, you know, the Black Castle 5-volt one. So that was a good little find, and that sort of, I flipped that pretty quickly. So that was so that sort of made it all worthwhile, and so I'm having fun with that stuff. I was able to help James out because he had to get this stuff out of there by a certain date so that he could close off his agreement with the place and not get charged more. So I suppose you could consider it a win-win for both of us. So that worked out okay. And tomorrow, so someone contacted me through my my website saying they had a Coco that they'd found in their late father's cupboards, I guess, and they wanted me to buy it. So I put in an offer, and they accepted it, and they sent me some photos of it. And what it looks like is it's well, not what it looks like. What it is one of the original ones from 1980. Pardon me. 4K non-extended basic Coco 1. Looks like it's been used maybe a half a dozen times and has a low serial number in the 900 range.
Wow.
Which is really good. But being the 4K level 1 version, it's pretty useless anyway. So it looks like it's been used, you know, half a dozen or a dozen times, and I pick it up tomorrow. So for, you know, by way of comparison, it's like you pet guys finding a 2001 that's hardly been used. So I'm picking up that from him, and I asked, you know, was there anything else in the cupboard there, old computer wise? And not quite that old, but I'm picking up as well a non-running Mac. What do they used to call them before they were ProBooks?
MacBook.
MacBook 5300 CS.
Sorry, PowerBook.
PowerBook, yeah. So I'd be keen to have a look at that, see if I can get that thing to start up. I mean, I've saved it from e-waste in any case, and I've done a quick Google search of them. They look pretty old.
Yeah.
But I think they're basically a color. You've probably got one behind you.
Yeah, I was about to see what
I got a 540C. I don't have the, what is it, 5300?
5300 C.
Is that a Power PC one, or is that
No, I think it's a Motorola based one.
68K one? Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
So I'll have them tomorrow. So that'll be a good little road trip out to Romsey to pick those up. So
very nice.
Not bad of a drive for me.
It's on your side of the city, so that's good.
Yeah, we got to charge the battery up in one of my cars, so it's just the sort of run I need to do. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I can see behind Johan there one of those freaking Mac Pro towers. You know, that one there. Yeah, that one. I got 3 of those things. Such a wonderful piece of engineering.
That's fun.
Yeah, worth bugger all.
Yeah.
And they're too.
I got given that for nothing. Yeah.
And they're too big to pack and send. You know, like.
Well, they're worth something to a chiropractor because every time you try and move it around, you throw your back out.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I spent ages on them because they're a really great design with the slots across the top for the hard drives. And like I had a box of 20 SATA hard drives here, and I just thought, I'll just max it out and everything, but still no one wants to buy the damn things. So I don't know how much mine owe me, not much, but when someone comes along and says, oh yeah, how about $80? I'm inclined to say, yeah, come and get it off my shelf. It's weighs a ton, and
they take up so much space.
Yeah.
I'm sure that their performance is sort of fantastic for the time, and probably still respectable for now, but
and are they Mac Pros or G5s?
Pros.
Okay.
But the only ones I ever seem to find in my travels, I've never found any. They've all been exactly the same. Their model number's A1186, which makes them a 2008 dual Xeon first generation Mac Pro. Probably cost a ton at the time, but as the lowest or least performing of that cheese grater style Mac Pro, they don't have a lot of collectability or value at the moment. But I've got 3 of them, and I want the real estate that they take up back. So I'm you know, hopefully get rid of them soon.
That Coco, mate, is that the one that's got like the chiclet type keyboard and the silvery grey sort of case? Is that the one?
That's the one, yeah. That's the earliest. That's the earliest one. And the thing is, when I get a Coco into my workshop that I'm going to flip, apart from determining that it works, the first thing I do is lift the lid, upgrade the RAM, put an EEPROM in for extended base, make it actually a decent computer. But this one, from the photos, its original warranty seal hasn't even been broken. So I'm kind of like, don't know whether I should.
Does it come with a box?
No, it comes. This is the thing. It comes with these styrofoams that hold it within the box, but the box is long gone. But if it had the box, because it's got the original manuals and the styrofoams and cables and setup guides and all that crap, and the paintwork's in good condition, it's probably for someone like me, that's like about a $400 sale, that one. So, but you know, I'll check that it works and put it on the pile and, you know, bring it along to a computer swap meet one day to show off.
Is there a way you can tell the difference between a 4 and an 8K one without opening them up?
Yeah, there's no 8K ones. You mean a 4 and a 16K?
Sorry, 4 and a 16, yeah.
But also just type print mem and
Okay.
and it says on the screen a number around 4,000 or around 16,000.
Okay. Yep.
So
Okay.
That's pretty easy.
All right.
To do. Where it got interesting, I suppose, was that Tandy's memory upgrades are always expensive, but they included the upgraded RAM badge on top, which when you upgraded the RAM, you replaced the RAM badge to reflect how much is in the machine. Now, if you didn't buy your RAM from Tandy, then you quite often find 64K Cocos which still have 16K written on top of them. So I see that quite a lot. So, yeah, so that's my trip for tomorrow. And yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I haven't really done much else lately except stand around my place a lot looking at stuff, you know, with my hands on my hips going, you know, geez, who would want to do this bloody career? Because I'm looking at my cars going, they're sitting here neglected. That's my other passion. And clearly I'm not going to, well, it's 2022 now. I wanted to get one of my Mazdas ready for the 2022 sprint season, but there's no way that's going to be ready. It's sitting there with a carburetor in a million pieces on one desk and a twin coil distributor on another desk, also in pieces.
It might be a time to think about selling them, mate, because car prices are off the charts at the moment.
Oh, I was very lucky to get them, and I get people who come through here all the time and go, "Man, why you got two Mazda RX2s?" Because they're popular with the Lebanese, so they're like, "Well, we got two Cabela's, Lair. Sell one of your Cabela to me, Lair." and I'm just, you know, a cocky bastard. So I'm like, "Mate, I got two RX2s. You wouldn't be able to afford either of them." And walk off with their tail between their legs. But I mean, if you know anything about vintage rotors, they're all
bleeding edges are gone.
I just got them at the right time, and I wouldn't be able to. The cost of entry now is just too high. I wouldn't be able to buy them now if I didn't already own them. So they're long-term projects, and then I'll probably put them out on, you know, the racetrack and come out of a corner too wide at Phillip Island and put a great big dent in it. But what are you going to do? That's my chosen sport. I needed a sport I could do that is a lot of fun, but I can do sitting down because I'm an unfit bastard. And so motorsport was perfect.
I'm with you there, mate. I'm with you there.
That's why I've got a motorbike. Same thing. My wife remarked that I managed to find the only sport that involved going outside, but I was still completely covered from head to toe, and I could sit down.
And I got a classic bike or a recent one?
2008 CB 1300.
Oh, okay.
That big one, big 4-cylinder fuel injected. Yeah,
nice. For years I had I like old classic road bikes. I had I don't know if you know what a Yamaha XS 650 is, but it's a Japanese version of a Brit bike with none of the problems of the Brit bikes, but all the problems of 70s Japanese bikes. So, I got pretty good at kickstarting that thing, which is the important thing. All right, we're not here to talk about bikes.
Or cars.
Or cars. But yeah, so I don't know. Like I said earlier, I plan to holiday in Canada at the beginning of February, but won't know till the end of this month if I'm going to proceed with that. I've got until the 28th of January to pull the pin on my airline tickets and hotel accommodation, which I do want to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, as I said before, I'm allegedly going to the Gold Coast on Friday. Let's just see if I make it.
The Omicron coast.
Well, once I get on the plane and get there, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
I'm taking every precaution to get. I guess I'm going to get on a plane to come back, don't I? Yeah.
I'd be less worried about the fact that you get Omicron and more worried about the fact that you're in Queensland. and I say that with love because my son lives there. But you know.
I'm going to change the subject. I brought this in. This is the Saturn V rocket I was talking about before. So this is a model rocket that launches and deploys. Now, this is the size of the rocket in relation to my head. She's going to be a real kick-ass unit. So it's a two-stage rocket. So this will pop out and come to the ground with its parachute, and this will come down with parachutes as well. So this will be pretty awesome. I will do a video, of course. That'll be a lot of fun.
This sounds straight out of the Big Bang Theory. Is that basically how it's got to go? Like that Big Bang episode that they, one of them had a rocket, had the model rocket launch, and it launched exactly as you would expect it would on an American comedy series. Badly.
I can tell you that I am not familiar with this episode you're referring to, but I can tell you that I've launched model rockets since I was a teenager, and I have seen all kinds of launches, from explosion on the launch pad because you used an engine that might have been waterlogged, and then it just goes bang, and then all your work goes up in flames, but to really good ones. But
so what are you using on that one? A couple of Ds or?
This is 2 Ds, yeah.
2 Ds, yeah. I thought it might have been.
Yeah.
Cool. Make sure you video it.
Oh, I will, for sure. When I was a kid, I'm sorry, once again, off topic. When I was a kid, I was interested in all the interesting Estes rockets, and one of them was the one that had I think it was 110 film camera in it. It would go up, and it would, as it ejected the nose cone, it would take photos as it came down, and I just thought that was amazing. And the other one was the one that you could carry payloads and like put a frog in it,
or a hamster.
If it blew up on the.
See you later, buddy.
Science experiments.
Yeah, so I've always seen this Saturn V one, and I thought, well, you know what? It's about time I finally did this. So I'll give it one go, and then she'll be done. Anyway, so now that I've got my rocket thing out of the way, let's hand over to Pat. Pat, what have you been doing?
Oh geez, I've been barbecuing and drinking and basically doing a lot of stuff to relax from work. Going a lot of cricket. Let me think. I have been fiddling around a little bit with a 128D that I got recently. I've ordered a few bits and pieces for it, and been starting to do a bit of work on that. I have a PC98, so 9821 AS2 that I've been doing a bit of work on as well, but nothing too amazing. I did have a bit of a topic though. I know Henry's been talking a bit about the Mr. Multi-core thingy. That turned up. I have a bunch of boxes downstairs that I haven't opened, and I know that's in one of them. I'm very curious because there's a number of folks on here that have fairly elaborate collections. I am curious about how you track your inventory. I have to some degree, because I will sometimes even forget that I've bought something at times. And
that's part of the hobby. That's the fun of the hobby. Is you find a box, that you bought 10 years prior, and you go, I bought one of those 2 years ago because I didn't think I had one.
Yes, I get very irritated with myself when that happens. But yes, it is part of the game. But also, just from a perspective of just finding stuff, I'm just wondering whether anyone has any.
I make it a very strong habit not to keep written records of anything I buy, because my wife might find them.
Yeah.
So
Pat,
the risk of buying something that I've already bought is as nothing compared to the risk of what my wife will find if that I'm running. If my wife finds out what I've already bought, so no written records.
So she's not in on this Zoom meeting then, I assume?
No, she's definitely not. No, she's in another room doing something that she does. So
we had a great strategy of making this a private group, and then Anthony not only records these meetings, but then now publishes them to YouTube.
my wife's not a member of this Facebook group, so she won't see it. She's better not.
I've started using an Excel spreadsheet to keep a track of my stuff because it's some of it's starting to get out of hand because
I do something similar.
Yeah, but not for everything because I'm mainly a Commodore person, and for particularly, let's say, the VIC-20 stuff, I want to keep a track of what cartridges I've got so I can actually make sure I can selectively get the ones I need as opposed to double up, triple up, that sort of stuff, because that gets expensive after a while. So
yeah, I've tried all of those methods. I've tried custom database software. I've tried just putting on my website and using that to inventory it. And I've tried Excel spreadsheets. And the issue is not the record keeping, it's maintaining it. Mm-hmm. And so I have great ideas to do all this stuff. And there's some stuff that I've got really well documented, but most of it relies on that. But the best thing you can do is start to liquidate your surpluses. Mm. So when you have those 67 Commodore 64s, you go, I only need 45. Then, you remember that you have 45 because 67 is too hard to remember. That's my advice.
But Anthony, you're going to have at least one of each motherboard revision, one of each SID chip. You have to have one that's been socketed and non-socketed. So,
Yeah, I got to say, there is such thing as just putting stuff in a shed and then
international soccer cartridges.
Oh yeah, international soccer is for me. It's Seawolf, Pinball Spectacular, and Super Smash. I literally have over 50 of each of those cartridges. So if you ever see a Commodore 64 for sale on eBay, and it comes with Super Smash, Seawolf, and Pinball Spectacular, almost guarantee it's me.
I like international soccer because it's the easiest one I can think of when I need to test the C64 joystick.
I don't know how to play it.
Anthony, go get them graded at What Are Games, and then you can put them up on eBay for $500,000, and you'll probably find a buyer somewhere, as long as it's encased in plastic. Hey Pat, it's funny you actually mentioned about the I suppose the cataloging and whatnot, and this goes back to what Anthony was saying. I'm in the same situation. I'm lucky enough that my collection's small enough that I don't really need to actually document what machines I own. Biggest problem I've got is what power supply goes with that Nintendo NTSC-J machine. And if it's 9 volt, is it center negative or center positive? Where do I put the center negative power supply? So I've been, you can't really see, but I've invested in one of these. I've already gone through like 3 rounds of ribbon. And also went to IKEA and bought storage boxes for every
3 label printers. You must have a label printer. I've got 3 of them.
So now,
and that's not including the handheld one that I've got as well.
Yeah, so I've got boxes now for all of my machines, and I've basically now put everything into one box so it's easy to find stuff. And I've labeled all my power supplies now too, because Jesus Christ, it's hard to try to find a 10 volts, whatever it happens to be, power supply for a particular console. So that used to drive my head in. So yeah, but just like you, Anthony, just went through and started going, you know what? This is crap. Like it's better off in someone else's hands. So I've been culling and throwing away or giving away stuff need be, because it's just stuff that just help that impedes me to try to find the thing that I want when I need it. Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because I've been the fortunate recipient of someone else having that problem. A friend of mine in the States moving from California to Florida.
Oh yeah, we saw your shipping container posts.
Yeah, he's been collecting computers for years, and he was in Silicon Valley for like 20 or 30 years. So what he's got, I've not seen anywhere else. But anyway, he had all of these computers, and I made the mistake, or maybe the correct thing was I said, look, if you're moving, it's probably cheaper to ship stuff from California to Australia than it is to ship it from California to Florida. So here's the address of a shipping place. If you've got anything that you don't want to send it to me. So he sends me this picture. It's a pallet, 3 cubic meters of computers. And there was, I think you've seen the post that I did of the K-Pros. So there was 7 or 8 K-Pros 2s. That's Digit 2 and the 2.2 and 4s, and a K-Pro 16, which is a IBM PC clone. So there's 10 of those, and there's about 10 IBM PC 5150s, IBM PCs, and IBM XTs, which I've got in the garage. I haven't even had a chance to look at yet. Also, a 5161 expansion unit, which is
Sweet.
Very rare. So he sent me all of that, plus a couple of printers. I got a RX80 and a couple of other bits and pieces that he sent me as well. Oh, I got the Enid like this. I got a TRS-80 hard drive unit. You can probably just see the one with the red and green. Where is it? Can't see it. No, can't quite get that around. One with the red and green buttons on the front and little key switch.
Like a 5 meg or a 15 meg or something.
Yeah, from the university. So I got one of those and a whole lot of stuff. So I've been learning all about K-Pros over the last couple of weeks, trying to get these K-Pros up and running. Most of them are mostly working. A couple have got the tandem drives with the little flippy lever on the front, and some of those are broken. But I'm learning that, and I've got one of them running with a GoTech, but it's only single-sided, and I've got to configure the GoTech for single. Anyway, long story. But they'll be the saga of getting them from California to Australia was horrendous, and Ian probably knows about this. But
I know about international freight. Yeah, my experience with K-Pros is that the ones I've had have had an Aztec power supply in them, 120 and 240 volt switchable. Is that all yours have those?
There's 2 different power supplies. There's an Aztec and a Boschert. Both of them can be switched between 110 and 240. So I've been lucky so far. The reefers in them are crap. I've got to replace reefers, and I'm waiting on some. But they use different sets of reefers. I opened the first one up, had an Aztec, went, right, I know exactly what reefers I bought, went down to JCar, bought a crap load of them, opened the second one up, it's a Boschert, uses different values. Crap. So now I'm waiting for some more reefers to come in from Element 14. God, Lord knows when they'll get here. But yeah, trying to get them, I'm just getting them all up and running, and when I have, I'll be making them available. David and I just want to recoup our costs on what it costs us to get it in from the States.
I used to get a lot of stuff from Element 14, but I've sort of fallen out of love with them because of their shipping times seem to be getting longer and longer for me. I've been buying more stuff from Mouser and more stuff from DigiKey, and getting quicker delivery times. But I know I'm also starting to hit the wall where it comes to certain semis that I buy that I thought were fairly common. As they're starting to say none expected till 2023, which is I
was waiting on some.
So normally I would buy 25 LS 245s. The next order I make, I'm going to order 100 of them simply because that's how many I use in a year minimum, and if they're not going to restock till 2023.
Well, the other thing I got from David in the States is I've got a crap load. I mean, a crap load of ICs. I've got discrete stuff, 245s. I must have 100 of them here. And I've got 80C85s. I've got to actually, seeing as I seem to be the lone Zilog guy in a sea of Motorola here, I've actually got some old, they look like Commodore ROMs and parts that I have absolutely no need for, which I should get you guys someone to give me a look at and see whether they're any good.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, mate, send me a list of what they are and I can tell you what they are. That's pretty easy.
But if anyone needs any discrete ICs, I've probably got some, and RAMs. I've got a crap load of them. But yeah, just rails and rails and rails and rails and stuff.
Cool. All right. Anthony, I got to go because I got to go.
No worries.
Yeah, to go as well.
Okay.
All right then.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see you all. Hey, Henry, didn't
Okay, I was watching The Punisher. Totally lost track of time. So I went, oh, meeting's on.
Yep. All right, guys. Catch you next month, and hopefully keep an eye on the Oz group thing. I want to try and get back to the swap meets in Feb. So
cool.
Let's make that happen. And if it seems like I'm dragging my feet, someone prod me, because I get involved in my work, and then before I know it, the month's nearly over and I've forgotten. So,
cool.
All right.
Cool.
See you guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
You too.
See you next
See ya.
time.
So, Pat, did we finish with you?
Let's say yes.
Okay,
Although
great.
I noticed that Stuart's might be on.
No, Stuart is on, but he's got no microphone and he's got no visuals. So he's just
But
listening.
he can hear me. He
You can say whatever you want.
Oh,
We'll
that's good.
just take it all in.
In that case, I want the other half of Jingle Bells. Through the
oh, that's right. That's right. He didn't finish that. In fact, I was very disappointed with everybody else's performance, because there wasn't any performances from anybody else.
I was laughing my ass off, because I saw Stuart put that on the Facebook group, and then afterwards, because I missed last month's call, I then watched this, and then I watched it again, and I was laughing my ass off again.
Yeah, we're not very organized.
I'm sorry that mine was just snippets of a 20-minute demo.
I don't think I saw yours then, Rob.
Yeah, it went up Christmas morning. It was
too busy.
It was demo of a very weird Christmas demo. I just did some snippets of that. I actually recorded the whole thing through the capture. So I had the footage I'd filmed, but I had direct capture as well, and I was going to see, and that's how the audio of it is. But I did the full upload to YouTube, but it got hit. It was going to be an unlisted video, and it got hit for a copy for a.
Oh my god! I've just found you put heaps of videos up.
Yeah, I chopped a few segments of it up, and like I said, I was going to link the full thing so you could watch the full thing just from the direct capture. But yeah, it got hit with a monetization. Like someone claimed copyright over some of it, so I was like, oh, I don't want to.
So Rob, I created an account on Vimeo especially for that. YouTube's just ridiculous.
Vimeo doesn't like game content.
But Vimeo is great for music. You can basically put up any commercial track. It doesn't even care. Whereas YouTube, you put 5 seconds up and they give you a copyright hit.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, we don't play music on this, so we're fine.
Yeah.
So in summary, Pat, you wanted to ask Stuart to play some more music because he practically gave up. Anthony needs to watch Rob's posts. I'm very sorry. Dave, did you put up any Christmas posts I need to look for?
No, mate, I was head down, bum up all December, so.
Anthony last month spoke to me about whether I had any joysticks available. I pointed him at an eBay auction, and I think he bought it. That's great. Now, Henry, you tell me what you've been doing.
A fair bit, actually. So, oh God, I can't remember if I posted it up on the collectors Facebook group or on the Mr. group. But just rewind. So just before Christmas, I received the Mr. Multi-System from Retro Man Cave. Got that all up and running, but I had an issue in that the configuration I wanted was to output through the HDMI port through a VGA converter, so I could actually run it through one of David's old machines. It's an LG Flatron CRT. Could not get it working, and I end up buying about 4 different. No joke. I end up buying about 4 different HDMI to VGA converters, direct cables, and whatnot. Nothing was actually working.
Is it actually a scan converter, or is it just a media converter? Because
I don't. Well, it's definitely not a signal converter. So it's actually not doing anything to the signal, as far as I know. But anyway, to cut a long story short, part of normal troubleshooting. Well, I had 2 DE10 because I've got another DE10 Nano in my other Mr. box, which was the one from Checkmate, the Checkmate Mini. So basically unplugged the DE10 from there, plugged it in, everything's working.
really?
The same SD card, everything. everything's fine. Swap it back over again. So as far as I can actually tell, there's actually a fault with that DET and Nano that I bought, in that it will work through HDMI, but if you try to do anything with the actual HDMI signal through a converter, it just actually won't output, which is really weird. But anyway, so how does Henry solve the problem? Just go and buy a third DE10 Nano. So someone actually posted up and saying that Terrasec, the actual company out of Taiwan, even though it's listed out of stock, if you put an order in, they ship it. And sure enough, they did. I actually bought one on Boxing Day and it arrived 2 days ago. Plugged it in, everything's absolutely up and running. So I've now got a third D10 Nano, which only outputs HDMI. And so now I'm thinking there is a product called the Mistress. If anyone's been following that, that's someone developed a board that allows you to take a gutted A500, Amiga A500, and actually put that board in and then put a DE10 Nano and actually will convert that into a Mr. box, but actually uses the A500 shell and keyboard as the controller. So I'm thinking, oh, there must be multiple, like there must be a dead A500 out there. Otherwise that, or I try to do a return with, I can't remember who I bought it from. I think it was DigiKey. I might actually have to try to do an RMA with DigiKey, but I bought it in September. So I'm hoping that they'll try to honor, I suppose, the RMA, but then I actually have to try to explain why I'm wanting to return it, because they're not going to believe me. So I hope I might have to take some videos or something like that. So that's been really interesting. So it's been a bit fun.
How much is one of those things?
They're not cheap. They've just gone up in price again. So when I bought my first one in September, it was $169 US. It's 208 now. That's before postage. But the postage isn't too bad. DigiKey was $27 US, and that was like 3-day shipping with UPS. And it was almost the same with from Terrasec as well. So it's pretty negligible. But the main thing is apparently if you can't buy a DE10 Nano, even if you tried at the moment, it's just like no one's got stock. It's not just that, it's like everything, whether it's IC, semiconductors, motherboards, the whole lot, Raspberry Pis, just can't get them. So, which is interesting. But yeah, it's all up and running now. And yeah, I've been trying all of the different things. For example, like someone wrote a copy, or someone did a port of Sonic the Hedgehog for the Commodore 64.
Yes.
So playing around with that. Prince of Persia on the Atari 800. So yeah, there's a game, Xeno Crisis, which is a port of an arcade game that's on the Neo Geo. So it's been really interesting with the Mister being able to play a lot of the new software, because they need expanded systems. And because the FPGA allows you to add as much REU RAM as it need be, or extra RAM on Atari natively, it's actually fantastic. So it has consolidated a lot of the systems I've got too. But it doesn't stop me buying, because a lot of people probably saw this as well. But that's probably my new pickup. So that's the that's an MSX1. That's my Toshiba HX10. So yeah, even though I've got a couple of MSX machines, I've always loved the form factor of this. And I love the coloring of it. The Toshiba just did that really well. It's just a shame it's an MSX1, because it's a pretty shitty, it's like Metal Aquarius level graphics with the MSX. But it's just such a...
That's a bit harsh. That's very harsh.
Yeah.
Such a lovely
it's better than Aquarius.
It's much better than Aquarius.
It's same as like Coleco, SG1000, SC3000. The Texas Instrument chip isn't a bad chip.
Yeah. So, and I was watching this documentary. I've got to try to find it. I was watching this documentary this morning on Don Bluth's Dragon's Lair. I'm sure we've probably all grown up with that Laserdisc. Someone did a port of Dragon's Lair for the TI 994A.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
ZX81.
Get out. No,
Yes.
But the TI 994A is an identical copy. It's they've digitized a whole lot into a 128 meg cartridge. So I'm actually wondering whether that actually runs through the Mister. So after this call, I'm going to try to acquire it and see if it actually runs. But even though it's Dragon's Lair is one of the very few games that I've ever completed. That was one of them, and that was actually at the arcade. That cost me a
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I bought the my goodness. I bought the Dragon's Lair New Wave Toys produce all these. So I've got that, and you can output to your TV, and you can play it, or you can play it in this little mini arcade. It's exactly as terrible as I remember it. Although as a kid, I remember thinking this is the most amazing graphics. And yeah, now you can see through the tricks and you're like, oh yeah, I can see what's going on here.
I remember when I was a kid on That's Incredible, they had one of the episodes was a bloke who could get through Dragon's Lair, like had memorized all the moves to basically get through Dragon's Lair. I just remember watching this going, this is amazing. But
they did the same with Pac-Man. They actually had a guy that was playing Pac-Man blindfolded because all the moves are it's all a muscle memory, because once you actually learn the routines, you can't. It's theoretically you can't ever lose. So once you know it, but I still suck at Pac-Man, irrespective.
You know, on that side of things, you remember the Game & Watches. I was fortunate enough when I was a kid to have Donkey Kong, and I got to a point where I could actually play Donkey Kong off the sounds and muscle memory. Like I didn't actually need to. So you literally, because it got to a point where you couldn't see the barrels coming. It was just like, but just because I was used to the sound and used to the buttons, I could just basically pretty much, like I could clock it multiple times, no problem. Anyway.
Yeah, there's only like a handful of games I've ever beaten. Another one was 1943 in the arcades. So I'm able to get through that. Galaga got able to clock it. Probably my biggest achievement, though, is anyone remember Elite from Acorn Soft? Yeah, so I reached Elite on the ZX Spectrum. So, and that was without cheating. And that's in the days before we actually had. For those who remember the Spectrum, they had this sorry for swearing. Sorry on the just edit that out. They had this bloody anti-piracy device called a lens lock. So you had to load up the game and hope that it loaded after 15 minutes. Then you had to look through like this refracted mirror on the screen, and then it gives you two random numbers. And if you don't type them in within 3 attempts, it reboots the machine and you actually have to start all over again.
Really?
Yeah, it's called lens lock. Was the most frustrating thing ever. Do I have it? Where's my...
So you just had to focus on the screen, and you just, wow, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, it was just like a little orange or red dongle, not dongle, like a little device. And when you load it up, you then had to put it on the screen, and it gave you some things to actually be able to change the actual screen size for it. And then you look through the slits, and it should theoretically give you like 2 random numbers that you typed in. That was the anti-piracy device.
I'm looking at Rob's link he's just put.
Someone had one on a YouTube channel a little while back. It might have been Retro Man Cave or something like that. It was the most horrible thing to use, apparently.
Sometimes didn't work at all with screen sizes too large or too small. There you go. That's very interesting, because I'm just used to the unphotocopiable, that really deep red stuff that used to get those sheets of paper, and you put in a photocopier, you just get black. But yeah, or like Sim City, or I think I had a Wizardry that had that as well, and some other stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, they wouldn't get away with it now because they just basically just take a digital photocopy or digital copy of it. But obviously, in those days, no one could really afford that. So, yeah, it's interesting talking about piracy. Apparently, for those that that still collect the big box games, the Monkey Island
Code Wheel.
Yeah, Code Wheel. Apparently, that Code Wheel is worth more than the freaking game itself. It's everyone's copy of Monkey Island, it's obvious was pirated or whatnot. All those code wheels just get used to death and they just get lost. So apparently, like a complete Monkey Island is it's worth an absolute bomb.
That's actually probably not surprising, because what you would do is you'd have your box and you put it on the shelf. You might install it on the hard drive, and then you put it on the shelf, and then you leave the code wheel out because you play with it. Maybe they just got separated because they didn't live together. The code wheel just ended up wherever. Yeah, that's interesting. Never even thought of that.
So, not that I've ever beaten Monkey Island. That was meant to.
Are you kidding? Yeah, I've done all of them. Yeah, that's the greatest games. They are so.
I'm a Sierra guy, so I never really got into any of the LucasArts. Is it LucasArts that did Monkey Island? I never got into them, so I thought I was my big plan over the summer break was to finish off the Knights Templar. What's it called? Broken Sword. To finish one of the Broken Sword series, and actually to do one and to do the first Secret of Monkey Island. Haven't done either. So.
And look, the Roland MT32 music on that, Henry, is amazing.
Yeah. On
all of those LucasArts games. So you're not going to regret it. I'm sorry, you would have just seen me throw this cat's fur all over the screen.
Saw that.
Yeah, Buttons. Buttons is.
Yeah, there's another cat in the background.
Yeah, that's Horton. Yeah, he's jealous because Buttons has got. Anyway. Yes. Okay. So there we go. So anything else going on? Thank you for not shading out your background for the first time ever, Henry. We didn't realize that you collected those bobblehead things.
I was umming and ahhing about whether. Oh, actually, speaking of collecting, so Jason McCarry came over to pick up freebies, including 3 joy. Or actually, there's still 3 joysticks, but I think they're already taken, or they've already been snapped up by someone. But give me a second. I'm just going to grab something. Hang on. I'm still here. I'm just in the other room.
This is great viewing for people at home.
So Jason McCarry was going through and he went to pick up just some of my freebies and whatnot. He was looking at some of the other stuff. He goes,
those things.
So what else do you do? Or what else do you collect, Henry? So, because he looked at my video games, but I can't remember if it was Rob or something, but also, so someone talked about Donkey Kong and whatnot. So I also am trying to get the full set of the Galaxy Invaders. So I'm just missing the 500, but I've got the 1,000 and the 2,000. But the other thing was that Jason was absolutely fascinated or focused on. I'm not sure you can see that. There you go.
What the heck is that?
That's Happy Days. My Happy Days. It's a Happy Days comic. It's the Happy Days edition #1, and it's signed by Henry Winkler. So anyway, I just actually had that in one of my display cabinets. He goes,
"Oh wow, there you go.
You can do that in the comic books." And then I pulled up so one of the other things I collect is comic books. So I pulled out and I showed him all of my graded comics, and he was just sitting there fascinated by going, "Oh my god, you actually have like Welcome Back Kotter as a comic book." Yeah. So yeah, I collect all sorts of different things. So most people collect like Fantastic Four or Thor or Superman, whether you're DC or Marvel. No, I'm like the I Dream of Jeannie edition #1, Gomer Pyle #1, Lost in Space. Like they're the type of comics that I try to collect. And I try to collect them I'll try to get them in what they call graded condition, which is like they've been encapsulated and then actually rated. So I'm not sure you can see that 9.2. So I try to find stuff that's actually.
Does that mean that you can't open it?
Yeah, you can't open it. Well, you can, but yeah, it's going to destroy the value of the comic. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bit sad.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's like if you ever watch that What Are Games, if you ever follow the video game stuff, this is CGC, which is the equivalent of What Are Games in the comic book industry. But I'll give you an example. That comic itself, if it was just loose, would be a $40, $50 comic, if that. But that now would be $400, $500. It's really weird. The collector's market in comics is really strange. Like,
yeah, my daughter and her husband are into that as well, and they've got comics and MTG cards as well.
Yeah,
all of that stuff. It's a whole world. It's a whole world.
So Craig, the interesting thing is that I'll never sell any of my TV show comics, but I have absolutely no emotional attachment to some of my DC or Marvel stuff. But if I see a computer that I really want, I'll just pick up one of my slabs and just put it out in the market. So I've got some that are worth in the thousands. So just a matter of actually, I was lucky enough to buy at the right time. And at the moment, it's in its peak at the moment, like 2 years into COVID.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Top dollar for stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Makes us vintage computer people look like we're amateurs. I mean, my God. Yeah, buying up MTG cards and flipping those, and thousands of dollars on whether the corner's creased or not.
Wow, really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you've got the right original Black Lotus from the 90s, and you've got one with the corner creased or not, that either makes it to, oh my God, have to have it any price.
Yeah, and then it's a centering, so to make sure that the borders are actually centered. People want 50-50 rather than 60-40, whatever it happens to be.
Oh yeah.
The worse, less it's worth.
Or you have an original set of, like, you used to go to the side to the corner shop and buy a set of Pokemon cards, and you get $1 for 10 cards or something. If you have one of those original still in the pack from the 90s, you can basically set your own price. How much do you want? $500, $1,000? Not a problem. And as Henry was saying, don't open it. Do not open it. Right? Doesn't matter what cards are in. The fact that it's sealed, that's where it's worth the money.
Got to think this is kind of top of the market type stuff now, though, right? Like, I know
maybe
Henry, you
say that.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it does have a life in that.
You think we've reached peak Beanie Baby?
Well, it's with 2 years.
Have we, Craig? Have we? I have no idea.
I don't know.
So we're a couple of years into COVID, and also don't forget the age of, people our age, right? Like it'll get to a point where that demand will die off. Like it's not maybe it's still got a bit of life in it.
All the people who grew up with that stuff, which is like my children, they're just getting to the point now where they're comfortable enough that they can start spending money on that stuff. And the market is going to peak over the next 10 years, I think, as all of that historical stuff, the stuff that they grew up with, starts to be accessible to them.
There are a lot of young, I wouldn't say youngins, but they're in their mid to late 20s that I've dealt with, and they've bought stuff that I would consider to be my era. So not the NES, but they probably start the Super NES.
Yeah.
And these people, they're in their 20s when they, you're right, Pat, in that I would have expected once we get to the point where the novelty's over, are the people in their 30s and 40s going to be buying our stuff? And I thought no, but if you look at what's happening in the Amiga market, the Commodore market, it's just going up at the moment.
Yeah, I have to say I've thought a bit about, like, I've got quite a few Amigas, and I have to say I've sat there kind of going, man, I really don't need all of them. Like I probably need, I don't know, three max, and I've got way more than three. So I don't know. I'm just sitting there just going, maybe I should, but I kind of feel reluctant. I don't know. I need to.
I've got like a museum quality SX64. There is nothing, absolutely not a blemish on it. And I've seen some of the less than desirable ones sell in the thousands. I'm like,
Yep.
I have so much of an emotional attachment. That an actual a 65. Get out.
That's a Mega 65.
No, it's not. It is a real 65, and Henry, it works.
Apparently, it's worth $22,000.
No, that'd
be worth more than that.
Apparently,
price. This is a real operational Commodore 65, serial number 62.
Yeah. If you ever need it spray painted into Commodore colors, I know.
Yeah, I was thinking it's not actually a bad idea, and that's actually. The other thing is, Dave was saying about 1540s, how rare they are. I don't reckon they're that rare. You can just print a new label on it and spray paint.
That's true. Spray paint it white. Yeah.
You can even make a serial number 1 if you want.
Yeah, serial number 1. Yeah, Australian made too.
Great matching monitor as well.
That one is definitely going to go into your retirement fund. Like, I be honest, sell it at its when you're ready. Sell it, because there's obviously. No offense, but when we're dead, it's going to be a $1 item in an estate.
Oh, you're right. When we're dead, it's going to be a $1 item. Absolutely.
So before these, I was joking with the Mega 65 thing, but before those things start shipping, do you reckon your actual 65 might be at its peak value, perhaps?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just think about. I know this is a complete opposite scenario. Apple ones. How many mock Apple ones are there now?
Heaps.
And do the Apple ones still hold their value? Yes.
Mm.
But what I want to do is I want to have the 65 and the Mega 65 sitting next to each other, and then I can check out the differences. That's what I want to do. So when my Mega 65 comes out, I can just see, oh, wow, this graphics mode doesn't work on the 65. Because I think we'll find that 65 will be a piece of crap compared to the Mega 65. But
actually, funnily enough, the Mega 65 might even stir interest in the original.
Yeah, that's my thought, Pat, is that it will do that. Once it's out, people go, oh, gee, the FPGA version is great, but gee, the original is not going to beat the original.
Yeah, but how many originals are out there? Maybe 200, if that.
I don't even think there's that many.
No.
Like if you were to say how many operational 65s, I would say 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
There'd be 20 operational 65s, if that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen serial numbers lower than that one in not complete states.
Anthony, do you know anyone else who's got one?
There used so of course, so this particular device was owned by Russell Alfie, who's in our group. And I got this off him 99, 2000, so a very long time ago. And he said that when he, and in fact, do you remember I was scanning all those cursor magazines? And anyway, when I was scanning all those documentation, I also found some documentation from a different computer the Commodore Network magazine, which was and Russell Alfie wrote in and talked about traveling around Australia with this particular Commodore 65. And there was another one in Australia. And this was an elderly man, was older than Russell. And I would say that it's either disappeared or it's still here in Australia. It might be, who knows? Who knows? It might be in landfill.
It could be in landfill.
We don't know what happened to this thing. Because remember, Russell bought this for $99 US from Grapevine by mail order. So when the liquidation sale occurred for Commodore, these things came out in the magazines, and that's all detailed in that stuff that I've scanned. So when you think about that, it was super rare and it wasn't acknowledged or understood at the time. So look, I mean, I know that there's a few of us who have them, but I don't know of too many. There's not many working ones. I'm very, very lucky to have a working Commodore 65.
I'm assuming Bo would probably have one, wouldn't he?
Oh, Bo definitely has one. Because he wanted to, funny story, because I've got two ROMs. So I've got the ROM that's in it that says German development pilot in it. And then I've got another one that came with it. And I imaged both ROMs and he had images of both. And I think the image that he got from mine, Russell might have sent to him 20 years ago. So yeah, it's well traveled and well documented, this particular unit. But one thing that wasn't, which I haven't got here, it's in the shed. It came with a documentation binder in a Commodore VIC marketing binder with all the original drawings of this computer. So I've scanned them and put them on archive.org. But this particular one's got some pretty good heritage, and we're very lucky to actually still have that documentation today, because there were some documents that even Bo said he's never seen before.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. And that was sitting in a shed in Altona. Yeah, so what were we talking about before we got onto that? Because we sort of really deviated. You were talking about having rare comic books.
Yeah,
and the price and the saturation of the market. And like, I mean, the other thing, like, I mean, I sold that Adlib Gold card 1 year ago today, right? And
oh wow!
Remember, it was 1 year ago. I sold it for $4,950 because the Adlib Gold 1000 just did not sell. And I was an Adlib fan, and I wrote Adlib, and then because I was such a really irritating customer, I used to write them letters and emails through their BBS. Well, it wasn't an email. I left the messages in their BBS. I used to dial up to Canada and say, the software support's terrible. And they kept posting me out all these discs. So I got all the software that no one had. So I included that in the auction, but also before I did it, I archived it and put it on archive.org so that everybody could have that documentation and software. But yeah, I mean, one thing I found the other day, was the actually original purchase receipt. I've still got that here in this drawer. But anyway, that's not that interesting. But yeah, has the market peaked? I don't know.
Oh.
When is an ad-lib gold worth $5,000?
A friend of the same friend who sent me the PCs, he's also big into Apple Lisa, and he's got some Lisa 1 stuff, which is very rare, some Lisa 2 stuff, which is not quite so rare. He's had offers from Europe for close to $100,000 for sight unseen. I'll buy it. Just put it in a box, send it to me. I'll take it.
What's a Lisa 2 worth?
It depends on the condition, and I don't track it that much because I'm not a Lisa kind of guy. But
let's say $5K.
Yeah, you can get them for about that. Yeah, it depends on the condition.
I got a Lisa 2 that's doing nothing.
Yeah.
I do as well, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So it's just sitting there. It's not hurting me. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to use it.
That's kind of where it sits with me as well. Is like I like it. I like it being part of my collection, but the reality of me actually using it is so low. I would turn it on once every couple of years, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're talking about rationalizing your collection. I've had to get rid of stuff, and this is my friend David and I, where we have to move stuff on because he's had stuff sitting in his shed for 20 years. I've had stuff sitting here literally for 20 years, and it's like I don't have 20 years left. So if I haven't used it in 20 years, I'm not going to use it in the next 20. And so it's time to move the stuff on. And it's a bit like cars. You spend all your time doing them up and getting them working, and then once they're working, they just sit on the shelf. It's like, well, you get your excitement out of getting them working, not necessarily using it. Well, at least for me. So it's like once I've fixed them, move them on, get something else.
You know how you were saying that bloke in Silicon Valley had acquired all that gear? There used to be a place. I went there about 15 years ago. It was called Weird Stuff.
Weird Stuff. Loved it. Went there. I've got a TRS-80 I bought at Weird Stuff. I used to go there I used to go over to the US 3, 4, 5 times a year. Every time David and I would hit Weird Stuff.
I'd go there and I just because they had a lot of not just
they did.
But they had a lot of server gear and a lot of lot of good reference books actually.
Yeah.
So they shut down
about a year or two ago.
Yeah. I was quite annoyed at that.
And in the last couple of years, it wasn't as good as it used to be. As David and I used to say, their stuff is priced to keep. It wasn't priced to sell. But back in the heyday, 5, 6, 7, or 8 years ago, you could go down there and get really obscure stuff just off the shelf, bang, get it, walk out with it. And we also used to go to the Silicon Valley swap meet.
Okay.
Down on Anza Boulevard, and that's where I got a whole lot of stuff that Dave shipped out to me. And the stuff you can get there, man, stuff. That's where I got the handy disc controller. I got an Apple II there for like $50. I got some Mac SEs there for $25 and $10. I just picked up this amazing, and again, this was all 5, 8 years ago.
And what would you do? Ship them back here, like just throw them in?
Yeah, because I had the advantage that Dave had storage units all over the place, so I could leave it with David, and then I actually bought back 2 TRS-80s as checked baggage. I packaged them all up and bought them back as checked baggage. But yeah, this is the second pallet that I bought back. The first pallet I bought back had a TRS-80 Model 2.
Wow.
With the 4 disc expansion drive, and that sat here for about 2 years. And I was like, I really want to do something with it, but am I seriously going to get to it? No, I was never going to get to it. So I moved that on.
I've really enjoyed watching Adrian Digital Basement restoring that TRS-80 Model 2. That's probably been the most favorite, because I've had a lot of experience at Tandy stuff with all their different lines, but I never really had any experience with Model 2s. And watching what Adrian's been doing, that having no idea about the machine, has been excellent. So
I got the Model 2 quad drive unit that I I got that from Weird Stuff. I bought that from Weird Stuff. Yeah. But the keyboard, the bass unit, and the disc unit all came from 3 different places, and I just got them all together, and then they came out on the pallet. What else? I got my byte collection. That's where I got my bytes from. A couple of TRS-80s. There's a whole lot of stuff on that pallet. I can't remember what it was now. A whole lot of stuff. But mainly these days it's about, again, culling it down to. I think I showed Andrew before. I've got some microbees here. Collection of microbees. That's the original premium. That's the second serial number 2 of the premium pluses that Ewan did. Now he did the premium plus revamp. That's serial number 2. That's the second one that he built up. Telecommunicator, computer in a book, a couple of bits and bits. Funny story there. I worked on a computer in a book back in 1984. It was given to me by Owen Hill. I had to get it up and run. We dealt with the binding place that did the actual little sleeve that things went into. And
I've got one in very shitty condition.
I got one on the Facebook group. A guy put it in there, and I got in there 6 minutes after he put it up there, and I snagged it. So I don't know who else. Somebody else was trying to get it, but I snagged it before.
There was a guy about 18 months ago, and he had a crappy, I don't know, some sort of like 64K micro B and a computer and a book and an Amber monitor, and they were all in very bad nick.
Yeah.
But he only wanted like, I don't know, I think it was like $250 or something.
Wow.
So I zipped around to his place.
Cool.
And picked him up. And I haven't really done any work on him, but I know right now with the price of micro Bs that if I did a bit of light work on them, or I could probably send them to Ewan and say, hey, Ewan, fix these, and then sell them for double what I paid.
Well, the monitor's probably worth more than anything else because people love the monitors. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I noticed someone had like a Thompson that is obviously the same as the
Thompson color monitors. They sold Microbe sold those for a while.
That was the guy from South Australia, and I can't do his name at the moment.
The guy in Henley.
Hey, that guy, who has he ever come on here? Because he's always flogging shit. I always see stuff coming up from him.
Yeah, prices are right at the top of the market, though. If I remember, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, they're always like almost, but not quite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the guy with the high prices is someone out of Tasmania, Lagana or something in Tasmania. I see them.
Oh yeah, I saw Laguna. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. And I
from him.
I think it's optimistic. If you get that, but leave it up long enough, someone will pick it up surely.
Yeah, that's some good stuff though.
Yeah, there's actually it's funny, which there's for those in Melbourne, there's a Spectra Video 738, which is which can be converted into an MSX. That's actually up on the marketplace at the moment, and it's in pristine condition. Right?
738 can be converted to MSX2. Yeah. So it's an MSX 1.5 in there.
Yeah.
Basically
it'd be better to keep it as is, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think, like, as in, because you can buy any.
Oh, the $600 one.
I don't think what they're asking is unrealistic. However, the market.
Do you have a link? Do you have a link?
It's if you just go to the Melbourne marketplace and just search Spectra Video, it's the only link that will come back up.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's the Express one. It's just got the inbuilt disk drive.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
But you have to think how many people actually collect Spectra Video. So like, I'm one, but I'm thinking 400. I probably would have jumped at it, but 600 sort of being umming and ahhing on that one.
I think I got a 328.
Do you want me to send you the link?
Yeah. Actually, no, don't send it to me. I don't.
And if anyone's after a multi-sync monitor, there's up at the marketplace again. There's an NEC multi-sync monitor that's actually up on the marketplace. It's an LCD, but for anyone's, it's only $30. It's a 19-inch square. So if anyone's that's looking for a cheap Amiga monitor, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Whereabouts is it?
It's in Melbourne, NEC multi-sync. I was just looking at it before. Oh, there's actually a couple, actually. There's one for 45 that's up there at the moment. There's actually a couple. So this one, I'll have to find the link, but they're up there. There's actually two up there, and it's weird because if they don't put the right keywords, it doesn't come up in searches, and I just actually happened to just come across it. Maybe it's NEC monitor I was looking for, but it was like cheap as chips. And I've got way too many monitors at the moment anyway, so I don't need another one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Is there anything else that we should be talking about before we wrap up January 2022's Zoom session?
I don't know how these sessions normally run, Anthony, but I might as well just talk to the quorum while we're here. So I've been talking with Neil at RMC, Retro Man Cave. So we've just been exchanging. I've sent him some stuff from my Specky collection that he can actually use in his cave. Anyway, I said, oh, by the way, we run this monthly call on a Sunday evening in Australia for vintage computer groups. I said, love for you if you're available. Would you be interested in actually being part of one of our calls? And rather than having him, and I'm just speculating, but rather than actually having him be as a participant, because he might get bored with the runaround, having me on as a guest of honor and maybe do a Q&A or something on the cave. I don't know whether anyone's ever interested in that or not, but he did seem pretty interested and keen that he could contribute in some way if he was available. And that's Sunday morning for him. So I don't know whether we've ever had any guests of honors or anything like that before.
Not really. The only problem that I would have with that is this is about, we would have to create another forum for that.
Yeah.
Because that's not what this forum is all about. This forum is about us not being able to be physically present with each other and basically having a computer users group online. So if he did come to the club, he'd be able to come and do a little demo, but it wouldn't be all about him. This is really actually all about us. So, and if we want to learn about this individual, we would watch his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that would be my look. While I think it's a nice idea, this is probably not the forum for that, unless anyone has any other opinions. Otherwise, it's just this. I would hate to detract what this is actually for.
I don't disagree with you, Anthony, at all. But what I would say is, I mean, Murray was begging that we do this more often. We could consider as a non-monthly catch-up, so
absolutely.
the week after or the week before.
Yeah, that would work
as a one-off.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't want to make it like to replace this.
No.
Or so if we said like, what we'd do is we'd have him in, we'd talk to him, but not on this one. But we'd say like, you're absolutely correct. That being said, I want to point out to Murray that he's not here tonight. Clearly, the frequency isn't that much of a problem.
Mr. Chairman, there's one more item that I would like to raise at least before we get off, which is we've not brought up the subject of steel mouse balls.
Well, I'm glad. I was playing with it before. So there is actually a new addition to the steel mouse ball story. So there is now someone else on this call who has a steel mouse ball. Do you have it present with you at the moment, Dave?
It's actually in the shed. It's been covered by rubberized paint. I did that today. I'm waiting for it to set.
Oh, great news. I would love to hear how successful or not that is. And for Craig's benefit, because he's like, what the heck are these guys talking about? So Mac Plus or Mac 512 mice balls that have been stolen because you got school computers and all you have is the mice but no ball in it. So we've been trying, they're in a 1-inch ball, which is frustratingly unusual unless you have a Amiga mouse and you want to steal the ball from it, which an equally difficult mouse to get balls for. So I found these ball bearings that are 1 inch, and unfortunately they're terrible because they just slip on the wheels. Yeah. So we're trying to find a method to make them work. So Dave's in his underground lair is currently developing a solution to this.
Do you want some Amiga mouse balls?
Do you have a hoard of Amiga mouse balls?
I have a hoard of Amigas in general.
The only catch is we don't want to take them from because then what's going to happen is in 10 years, someone's going to find this Amiga mouse, and then they're going to say, "Where's the ball for it?" And then they're going to have
5 or 6 broken ones, and I hate them. I hate the tank mice with a passion.
Yeah, but
I'd rather rip the guts out and put the new laser things in them, and replace the ball altogether.
Well, I would take every single one of those balls to replace all of those 15 mice that I have that don't have balls.
Well, I might have 5 or 6. I'll have a dig around.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would love to catch up and hear about that next month because it's been a year that we've been talking about mouse balls. And
of all of the things I was expecting to hear tonight, it was not people playing with their balls and putting rubber on. That was not.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, it's a regular topic here.
Yeah, Craig, you'll need to watch the last 12 or 14 episodes to fully catch up on the saga.
Don't get done. Yeah.
Thanks for the offer, but no.
If I'd known that the Amiga mouse balls had fitted, I would have offered earlier. Actually,
Well, I found out by accident. I found out by accident because I got a Commodore 1351. Yep, and it came in a box, and this mouse came with 2 balls, which I thought, this is weird. And I thought, I wonder if it's the same size as a Mac mouse. I just plugged in. Holy crap! There you go. I just need another 10 1351s, and
post on Amiga.
I'll have a talk to my mate Dave. He has more Mac SEs. The next pallet he sends out to me, he swears he's got two FXs, 2 GXs, LCs, SEs. He says they're taking up room. I want to get rid of them. He says,
so the catch is it's not the ADB mouse.
No. I understand.
It's a crappy beige, bulky.
M100.
I've got a box over there with several for my Macs here. Yeah. I know the one you mean.
Yeah. So because they've gone to conventional mouse ball sizes on the ADB mouse, just not on the M0100. That's correct, Dave.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so we've discussed meeting. So RMC is welcome. We can do this. We would schedule him. We would need to think about what questions we ask him because that would be very embarrassing to get him in and not have any questions. So,
sorry to interrupt, but I was on another Zoom meeting. I was a few months ago, and we got David Pleasance from the UK. Who was he head of Commodore UK at the time?
Yep.
And questions weren't a problem. He could talk.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful raconteur. He'd be the great person to have a beer with, but I'm not sure if Neil's the same. But questions would be good, but may not. He might just talk about stuff he's done.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, let me confirm that he's still receptive to the offer because he might have just actually said it because he was in a good mood over Christmas and I'd just sent him some freebies. So let's do that. And then Anthony, maybe you and I can just take it offline and we can sort of
absolutely
break out some details and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. I would just hate. Yeah, I hope you understood what my meaning was. It's just we want to keep.
No, I'm on the same thought process as you, to be honest. So
yeah, cool. Very good. All right. I know Nigel just popped in a couple of minutes ago, but just quickly, Nigel, what have you been doing? Anything?
Just the usual, picking up bits and pieces. I picked up another 9 PCI graphics cards today. There's a what is it? The rare one there. The can't remember what it was now.
The S3 Trio, the very rare video card.
Not the S. Yeah. Well, I've got 9 S3s now, something like that. PCIs. Well, it was I picked up a CT 6610 for one thing, which is a bit of a rarer card, and the was it rendition? Yeah, that's right, the rendition card, V2200.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's similar era to the Voodoo ones, and it's actually very comparable to a Voodoo one, but not quite as supported.
Yeah, there were a couple of really interesting, like the Power VR card, and then there was the 3DFX card, which is the Voodoo one. And I thought there was a third one. Maybe that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a 3D blaster. That's what it was called.
Oh, sweet.
The first one, the V1000, was a 3D blaster, and they put out the V2000 and the V2001 100 and the V2200. And they're quite a good card. Well, I was looking online; they're selling for the same prices as a Voodoo one, if not more. So, I didn't know much about them, but they're great for Quake 1, Quake 2, and several other games as well. But a little bit glitchy, a little bit, but just an unusual, different card. So I've actually got 2 of them now, and that's something to play with.
Cool. That sounds interesting.
And that was about them. No, not really. Just my usual mucking around with the machines. I've still got to work on that TRS-80 Model 3 I picked up. I got a bit of hints from Ray. Can't think of his last name now. Ian's friend, Ray.
Yeah, Ray in Altona.
Yeah, he gave me a few hints on a few things to try with the PSU and a couple other bits and pieces. So I yet to have time to put that into practice yet, but that's on the list of things. And clearing out some of my Commodore 64s as well. I was talking to him. I sold him one of my 9 C64s I have. Got to do a clean out, so that's next week's thing. Test cart and go through them all, and I think I've got 4 with RAM faults and bits and pieces, and I'll just probably sell them on for reasonably cheap and let someone else deal with the problem.
Yeah, very good. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And looking at the calendar, I would say the second Sunday of the month for February is the 13th. So I would say next time we'll have the meeting will be the 13th of February. So until then, have a great time, and I'm going to stop recording right now.